Hello, world. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ perspective and an LGBTQ approach in an LGBTQ plus planet where each and every one of us belongs to one or two letters in the 10-letter sexual alphabet. Yes, many people wonder, are you sure we are part of the spectrum? Yes, everybody is part of the spectrum. It's simple. Everybody has a sexual orientation. Yes, and everybody has a sexual identity. Sexual orientation is not sexual identity. Sexual identity is who you are as a person. Sexual orientation is whom you have sex with. That's what you need to understand. And today, speaking of that, we are going to focus on Sam Smith's announcement that he's non binary or genderqueer. Let's go to the news and see that. The news, there is a great Sam Smith. Okay, let's get the news. Sorry about that. I was reading some other things, and that's why I was looking at them. But basically, some people are shocked. I was seeing guys say, no, if you've come out to be non binary, I mean, return your words that show you to be to remove your words that you won as a male artist, because if you're not male, you're not female, then why did you win those awards? Now, people need to understand something about sexuality. There's something called gender fluidity. Gender fluidity, identity fluidity. Now, gender fluidity is whereby somebody can switch genders at different rates of time. And that means, and basically, to me, I call a gender fluid person a full rainbow. Because if you are a lesbian, you can be a lesbian for life. It's like you have one color, you're red. And then if you're gay, you can be color green for life. And then if you are bi, you can be color yellow for life. And if you are transgender, of course, transgender is not sexual orientation, it's sexual identity. You can be transgender for life. That's like color, let's say color blue, something like that. So all of these colors, some people, if you draw people according to the colors, some people have one color for the rest of their life. Others have another color for the rest of your life. But other people can have two colors in their lifetime. And especially bisexuals are like that, but not all bisexuals. Yes, not all bisexuals, but most of them. They can be blue for the first 20 years of their life, then the next 50 years of their life, they are yellow. So sexually, they can switch. Like what happened in Uganda, this lady called Val Kalende, she was a lesbian for her early childhood, and then now she said she's become straight. But so she's basically a bisexual. She was not. She thinks she's a straight woman, but she's not a straight woman. She's a bisexual because she switched off the lesbian side of her life and now switched on a straight side. Most lesbians, full lesbians, do not, they, even if they try to switch off, they can't. They remain lesbian. And so for Val, she's not actually a lesbian, she's a bisexual. And that's what happened to her. Because a bisexual is a straight person and a gay person at the same time. Now, there's a new term that came and it's called non-binary. We're not going to study it. But before we do that, let's read Sam Smith's declaration. And he says, let's speak BBC because it is from the horse's mouth. Okay. So Sam Smith has come out as non-binary, saying he feels like a woman sometimes and has considered having a sex change. He was speaking to actress Jamila Jamil about fame, body image, and confidence. I've always had a little bit of a war going on within my body and mind, said in an interview. I do think like a woman sometimes in my head. Sometimes I've questioned, do I want a sex change? It's something I still think about, like, do I want to? Many non-binary people don't identify as either male or female and use the pronouns as them instead of he or she. Some says listening to conversations about being non-binary, realize, sorry about that, WhatsApp is running up. Non-binary made him realize that he was how he identified. I'm not male or female. I think I flow somewhere in between. It's all on the spectrum. Yes, Sam Smith is a rainbow man. Congratulations. Yes, you are a rainbow person. You fluctuate in the whole rainbow. One day you're red, the other day you're purple, the next day you're blue, the next day you're yellow. Yes, sexually it's gender fluidity. And he added that he had always resented being feminine in many ways and describes being non-binary as being your own special creation. And breaking news there, Trump has declared Israel's sovereignty over Golan Heights seized from Syria in 1967 war. So there you are. US is standing with Israel again and saying that the Golan Heights belongs to Israel and not to Syria. Okay. So that's a very interesting news item. Sorry, I'm not going there. My mind was on Israel now. It was Sam Smith. But non-binary people like China and writer Jamie Wayne has said that they face daily scrutiny from other people. I don't mind the questions, but context is important. With most people, they don't have that context. Well, we'll just be talking and having a normal conversation. You only need to know that if we are having sex. In his interview with Jamila, Sam said he has dated men who identify as heterosexual and believes you fall in love with people, not genitals. Let's discuss about that. Yes, it's very possible for a gay man to date heterosexual men because, as I told you, in the spectrum, there is sexual orientation and sexual identity or gender identity. Gay sex is not identity, sexual identity. Gay sex is sexual orientation, is sexual lifestyle. A man who has sex with another man is a homosexual or he's gay. But he may have sex with a man, but he's a heterosexual. So what you need to understand about those the identities, not all of them are about who you are biologically, even though biologically you are gay, biologically you are straight, biologically you are lesbian. It is about you whom you have sex with. If you have sex with a man and you're a man, then you are a homosexual. But if you have sex with a man and then you pause and then you now say I'm going to settle down maybe with a woman, then you are a bisexual. Then if you have sex with a man and then you go back and have continuous sex with women, and never go back to a man, then you are a heterosexual man. So these sexual identities, they are based on continuity. If you continue in that sexual lifestyle, then you are that. If you continue having sex with men over and over again, you're a homosexual, you're gay. And if you continue having sex with both men and women for a very long period of time, you are a bisexual. And if you continue having sex with women only and you're a man, or men only and you're a woman, then you are a heterosexual. That's what you need to understand. And it's as simple as that. So people shouldn't they shouldn't do what? They shouldn't make it look like the that sex is that when you have sex with a man and you're a man, you're not gay. No, it's about continuity. If you continue, then you're gay. If you just do it once or twice, thrice, and then you stop, and then you get married, and then you never see a man again, then you are a bisexual or a straight person. But if you keep on having sex, they are like bisexuals. For me, the best definition of a bisexual is someone who has sex with men and women continually. You have sex with the same sex, with the both sexes continually. I don't believe in the bisexuality break. Like someone may attack me and tell me, no, Val Kalende is not a bisexual because she has left. She doesn't want to sleep with women anymore, and so she's sleeping with a man. But I call her bisexual because as long as she has had sex with women, she was a lesbian in her life. And being a lesbian is so natural, you can't act it, you can't act sexuality. Yes, the only place you can act it is on movies. But in real life, you can't act it. So that's what you need to understand. Now for Val, I call her bisexual on that basis because she has already had sex with women. And then now even if she has sex with men, that makes her bisexual. Because when you have sex with someone, it's sexual attraction. And this is what I want to look at what Sam has said, which I don't agree with him. That he believes you fall in love with people, not genitals. No, you can also fall in love with genitals. Yes. You can also love somebody because of the penis they have. Yes. You can love a person because of their body. So this is what I want to address, because very many people have that confusion. But I can understand Sam Smith. He's very feminine, because when you have the feminine mind, your idea of love is not necessarily sex. It's about bonding, talking, falling in love, these romantic scenes of I just saw him and he blew my mind away. He was so handsome, and when he opened his mouth and spoke, I was gone. Oh, I want to be with him forever. So that's romance, that is falling in love, not thinking about sex. But there is sexual love whereby, damn, that guy got muscle, and I want him now. So that is loving someone for their genitals, for their body. Yes. So all of those people should be respected. The lovey-doveys and the sex crazy ones, they should be respected, because it's diversity of love. So it feels like I'm something for people to take off the list to experience that can be quite damaging when it comes to building a relationship. They say non-binary people can be fetishized, and who just want to broaden their sexual experiences. So Sam Smith has previously dated model Jonathan Ziesel. Although he hasn't spoken about his non-binary identity, has affected his love life. He hasn't spoken about how it has affected him. Yeah, and he's just, look at what he's saying. I I never look like that because there's a bit of a woman in me who won't let me look like that. I put on weight in places women put on weight. Yeah, when I used to look at Sam Smith, and I used to say, "Wow, he was voluptuous as a man," and yeah, it could be he's intersex, and it could be we are, of course, we are all intersex. For information, we are all intersex. It's just that some are more intersex than others. So it could be he has an ovary. It could be he has very low testosterone. But what I know is his hormones, and then leave alone his hormones. It could be his brain. Let's look at the size of the head. Yeah, it could be his brain is feminine. So, what is happening in the world, and what Sam Smith has brought to us is the understanding that sexuality is being redefined, and for the better. It is making us know that sexuality is not genitals alone. It is psyche, it is brain infrastructure, it is hormonal infrastructure, it is internal sex organs, it is the body shape. All of these things are used to define our sexuality, and it is causing a problem because when you are in the middle, what do you call yourself? Like now, Sam Smith is seeing himself in the middle, so he's calling himself non-binary. Now let's look at what a non-binary person is. Now there is non-binary. Look at that handsome non-binary. Genderqueer, also known as non-binary, is a catch-all category for gender identities that are not exclusively masculine or feminine, identities which are outside the gender binary and cisnormativity. Genderqueer people may express a combination of masculinity and femininity or neither in their gender expression. Genderqueer people may identify as either having an overlap or indefinite lines between gender identity, having two or more genders, be bigender, trigender, pangender, having no gender, agender, non-gendered, genderless, gender-free, or neutral, moving between genders or having a fluctuating gender identity, gender fluid, or being third gender or another gendered, a category which includes those who do not place a name to their gender. So you see, people have very many genders. Some people have 2 genders, 3 genders, and 5 genders. Yes, others have no gender, and others are gender fluid. So this is what you need to understand Sam Smith is going through right now. Sometimes he feels like he's a woman, but he has a penis. He got a male award, male artist of the year, but he still feels like a woman. Should he return the awards? No. It's very possible for you to feel like you are a woman even though you have a penis. It's very understandable because it's not only your genitals that define you, it's even your brain. Yes, even your hormones. Yes, even your blood. I was telling somebody that, you see, sexuality is so natural, especially homosexuality, because people don't think it's natural, because it's in your blood. Do you know how many cells we have? Billions. Now, if you're going to change yourself, how you have to change those cells. You see, it's very funny. So anyway, gender fluid is a person who remains flexible about their gender identity rather than committing to a single gender. Yeah, so these people, gender fluid people, they can switch to any gender at different times or show multiple genders at the same time. It's beautiful. And this is what you can be: a transgender who is gender fluid, but you can be a transgender who is a gender. No, can you be? No, not really, because an agenda is a person who is genderless, gender free, non gendered, or ungendered. Agendered people have no specific set of pronouns, they use the singular they. And demigender is a gender identity of a person identifying partially or mostly with one gender at the same time with another gender. So you can be a demi boy, a demi man, for example, identifies at least partially with being a boy or a man, no matter the sex and gender they were assigned at birth. While other parts of their identity might be assigned to their other genders, gender fluid, or no other gender agenda. A demiflux person feels that stable part of their identity is non-binary. So the history of this term came up in the 19th century when sexuality was first medicalized. You see, sexuality was first medicalized in the 19th century. Very late. Humans did not understand sexuality until the 19th century. People started to identify as gay when biological sciences grew in influence. Churches became less powerful and social and political structure began to change. So you see what was happening, especially in Europe. When biological sciences were growing, the power of the churches was reducing. This is what happens in very many societies whereby science increases. Where science grows, religion dies. Well, that is a general rule which is subject to an exception. There are exceptions. You can have a society that is religious and scientific, like India. India is a religious society, but is very scientific. So that's why they passed gay marriage. I mean, they decriminalized gay sex. It's because their religions allow gay sex. Yes, for them it's not a problem. So the problem was the law that was imposed on them came from a Christian nation called Britain. So in the British law, it was Christian law. It was just a Christian Torah that was now put on to Hindus who already were having gay sex, and now they were being told, no, you can't have it because you're being ruled by Christians. So but when sciences increases in any society, be it Christian, Muslim, or Hindu, then the power of religion becomes less because science will be answering the questions. Now you must understand, science answers the questions of religion. And the faster it answers those questions, the weaker religion becomes. And that's what you need to understand. So it's very interesting. Look at, that's what happened. And that's why the LGBTQ movement is out and proud. It's because science is on the side of the LGBTQ community. Now, George Chauncey, professor of history at Yale University, notes that during the early 20th century, gender roles rather than sexual partners were used to determine sexuality. Feminine men, mollies, fairies, whereas masculine men who had sex with other men remained unlabeled. So you see, they were now labeling men who were feminine. So these words are very new. And gender queer came first in 1995. And then another woman, Wilchin, stated she identifies as a gender queer in her autobiography. Some genderqueer people are medically treated for gender dysphoria with surgery or hormones as trans men and women. So you must understand that gender dysphoria is still considered a disorder, and they help these genderqueer people with surgery and hormones, so they become trans men and trans women. Like, you see, if Sam Smith continues feeling like he's a woman and he struggles and it affects his lifestyle, it affects his music, it affects the way he does his things, then they may have to check whether he has gender dysphoria. Yes, but we will look at it whether he has it, but I highly doubt. So gender neutrality is the movement to end gender discrimination altogether in society through means of gender neutral language, the end of sex segregation, and others. Yes, this is coming very soon. I believe it. There will be no more he, her, he, she. We will just have one name for everybody. Of course, in Africa, it's there. When you speak African languages, most African languages, they don't have he or she. They just have the person. Yes, so it's better that way, and that's where we're going to go. So even pronouns and titles, yes, in Africa, we are one, whether you're a man or a woman. They use the third person, a, and in some other cultures, it's another letter. So whenever you hear Africans talk their tongues, you'll never know whether they're talking about a he or a she. But in English and in and European languages, you will know whether you're talking to a he or a she. So what is going to happen is, what I'm trying to say, I'm projecting that this movement is going to succeed, and very soon the European languages, which includes English, will become gender neutral, because now sexuality will be people will be coming out. They call themselves non-binary, demisexual, all of these bigendered, multigendered. They will be calling themselves these identities, so many that people will feel like, oh, I think we're tired. Like, look at this, the gender neutral title, MX instead of Mr. or Miss. Good. I like that. That's nice. Yeah, so you just do MX and we go on with life. So there's legal recognition of the non-binary persons, and it's called the third gender classification. I also love this one, which has also been done in New York. You'll have like male, female, and then the third gender. Third gender should be for anybody who is in the middle or is gender fluid, doesn't know himself. They should be called third genders. So I also know that I can project that very soon the world will adopt a third gender identity in identity cards and other identity documents. So this is about the flags of the gender queers and non-binary. They have yellow, and you can come and read all of that. And US population estimates, the National Center for Transgender Equality found that 35% of the nearly 28,000 transgender respondents to its anonymous online survey identified as non-binary. This is very beautiful. Beautiful work. Well done, National Center for Transgender Equality. Yes, what you need to know is, just because you're transgender doesn't mean you can't be non-binary. You see? You can be non-binary even if you're transgender. Beautiful. Oh, I can't stop explaining that. It's lovely. All right, so of course this is Two-Spirit. In the Native American society, they were people who had two spirits, male and female. And let's look at it before we get back to gender dysphoria, and then we have ended the video. Two-Spirit is a modern pan-Indian umbrella term used in indigenous North Americans to describe certain people in their communities who fulfill a traditional third gender role. While most people mistaken them as LGBTQ native, the term identify Two-Spirit doesn't make sense unless it's contextualized in Native American framework. And this is the Two-Spirit came about, the elders will tell you the difference between a gay Indian and a two-spirit, Joey Cradle said, underscoring that the idea of simply being gay and Indian does not make someone a two-spirit. The presence of male-bodied two-spirits was a fundamental institution among most tribal peoples, according to Brian Gilley and according to non-native anthropologist Will Roscoe. Both male and female-bodied two-spirits have been documented in over 130 North American tribes. Male-bodied two-spirit people can go to war and have access to male activities such as male-only sweat lodge ceremonies. However, they may also take on feminine activities such as cooking and other domestic responsibilities. According to Lang, female assigned at birth two spirits usually have sexual relations or marriages with only females. So these are very interesting thing about two spirit. Number one, two spirit doesn't mean you're necessarily gay. It just means you have male and female spirits. And basically, I think it was just the Native Americans' understanding of intersexuality. They could see that there were men who could perform female roles and male roles. And so they said these ones must have two spirits. And that's how the term came about. And now we know it is basically those men who are gay, could be gay or could be intersexual. Yes, so that's what you need to understand. Alright, that's good. Now let's finish with gender dysphoria and then we will go. Why I wanted to look at gender dysphoria, because I wanted to confirm whether it is based on being, gender dysphoria is based on being, whether it has an effect on your body. So these are the complications of gender dysphoria: eating disorders, suicide, depression, anxiety, social isolation, and differential diagnosis, variance in gender identity or expression that is not distressing. Treatment is transitioning and psychotherapy. Medication can be hormones, androgens, anti-androgens, and estrogens. Now, it was the gender dysphoria is a distress a person experiences as a result of the sex and gender they were assigned at birth. In this case, the assigned sex and gender do not match the person's gender identity and the person is transgender. Evidence from studies of twins suggests that gender dysphoria not only has psychological causes but may have biological causes as well. So you see, this is what you need to understand. That's why it was called a disorder. It's a disorder because not because you are born feeling like a transgender. Remember, this is not being a transgender. It is the distress. When you are stressed up about your sex and gender that you were born with, then you have gender dysphoria. So these are the signs and symptoms. This is what I wanted to look at. They are more, according to American Psychological Association, transgender children are more likely to experience harassment, violence in school, foster care, residential treatment centers, homeless centers, and juvenile justice programs than other children. Adults with GD are increased risk for stress, isolation, anxiety, depression, poor self-esteem, and suicide. Studies indicate that transgender people have extremely high rate of suicide attempts. That's sad, but it's real. Transgender people are also heightened risk for certain mental disorders such as eating disorders. Did you hear what Sam Smith said? That, and Jamila asked him about the body image and all of this stuff, and that's what you can see. But he's not stressed, so he doesn't have gender dysphoria. That's why he can say he's non-binary. But if he's stressed about it, if he says he's been suicidal, if he says he has a lot of depression, if he says he has been isolated, then he has gender dysphoria. Okay. So the causes of gender dysphoria, researchers disagree. Some authors have suggested they have been stigmatized and victimized, and if society had less strict gender divisions, transsexual people would suffer less. Yes, I believe that, because if people don't attack you for being feminine, then you would not suffer that much, and you will not go through a life of, you know, of depression like most of these. That's why I tell people, don't worry about people who commit suicide, especially Christians. I tell them, please don't, because um, suicide is sometimes biological. It's because of biological causes someone commits suicide. The mental anguish a transgender person can go through is beyond description. Yes, it's beyond description. And that's what people need to understand. You see, you can't understand it if you're not a transgender. Yes, you can't understand it. But if you have had a problem with understanding your sexuality, you can understand what a transgender goes through. So you see, strong desire for sexual you have to have a strong desire, not just a desire. That's what I'm saying. Sam Smith, please note, he doesn't have gender dysphoria. He just has a strong, he has just a desire. He sometimes thinks maybe I should be a woman, but he's not. He's just feeling. But it's not that he doesn't have a woman in him. He does. We all have estrogen. And psychologically we have feminine side, like the right hand side of the brain. The right hand side brain hemisphere is a feminine side of the brain, and the left hand side brain is a masculine side. Yes, so we both have male and female envisaged or proven by the brain. Okay, so this is what you have. Uncertainty, these are different. The ICD lists several disorders related to gender identity. One is transsexualism, desire to live and be accepted as a member of the opposite sex, usually accompanied by a desire for surgery and hormonal treatment. The other one is gender identity disorder of childhood, persistent and intense distress about one's assigned gender manifested prior to puberty. Then you have other gender identity disorders, and then you have gender identity disorder unspecified, and then you have sexual maturation disorder, where uncertainty about one's gender identity or sexual orientation causing anxiety or distress. So sometimes people do not know their sexual orientation, and this is given questioning in the LGBTQ spectrum. There's some people who are always questioning, am I a man? But I feel like I'm a woman. But maybe I'm not gay. But I think I think I'm straight. No, I should have, maybe I'm a transgender. So they go through this maturation disorder in their brain. And then you have gender incongruence of adolescence or adulthood, and gender incongruence of childhood replaces, and gender incongruence unspecified. And in addition, sexual maturation disorder has been removed along with dual role transvestism. Yes, so they have removed some of them. Okay, we don't want to go deep into everything. We were just trying to check it out, and we have checked it out. And look at, in Samoa, the Fa'afafine are a group of feminine males and are entirely socially accepted. Wonderful. And that's what you need to understand. What else do we have? Do we have anything? Yeah, you can see there can be relationships between lesbians and female to male people with GID. Yes, it can happen. And of course, Plato used to see this. Plato and the Platonic relationships. You find a man is with a woman and they really don't feel like they should have any sex. Its reason being, the man is so in touch with his feminine side, or he could be very feminine, that he is not are affected with the woman. And that's what you need to understand about relationships. You see, relationships are so diverse, so there's nothing to panic about when you are with people and when you are with the opposite sex or the same sex. It's very interesting. It's so funny. It's so funny that uh, that you can have we have very different types of relationships even in families. It's beautiful. These days, as we conclude the video, I'm enjoying life. For one thing, I'm learning a lot. I learn about people, and I learn and I look and I say, you know what, do you know, the we LGBTQ persons, we make a mistake. We don't think about our parents LGBTQ status. I think if we investigate our parents, you will find they have one of them or both of them could be LGBTQ. That's what we need to understand. But you need to know, especially in Africa, our parents and great grandparents and grandparents, their sexuality was suppressed by the colonial system, because the colonial system brought the dual or binary system whereby you're either a man or a woman by looking at your genitals. So because of that, many people could have been LGBTQ, but they suppressed their LGBTQ side such that we are made to believe that there were no LGBTQ persons in Africa, but they were. In fact, there were some tribes who killed intersex children at birth. People were crying abortion. They don't know Africans killed so many babies who were intersex because they could not understand what was happening to how, even some were calling it witchcraft, that a child is being born with, they were even called omens. Yes, when you were born with the two egg organs. So they did understand, and some of them call them witchcraft. It's not witchcraft. It's diversity. It's biodiversity. Yes. And some people are born intersex. Some males are born with genitals that are very small. Yes. And what are you going to do about them? You can't kill them. And they used to be killed in Africa. So that's, with that ignorance and at the same time the colonial suppression using religion, hid the LGBTQ population in Africa for a very long time. And now we are having the new group, the young people of Africa, who are coming out of the closet, accepting their sexuality. So what I'm saying to my African colleagues in the LGBT community, go and do an investigation of your family, even your extended family, and find out the gay people and the lesbians and the bisexuals in your family, and understand and enjoy and be happy, because your sexuality is naturally received. There is no spirit that you're being possessed by demons. No, it is you. You are born that way, and it flows in the blood, because sexuality is biological. Yeah. Attraction is biological. Erection is biological. Releasing of semen is biological. The gorging of the clitoris is biological. And so if your clitoris gorges in front of a woman, then you're a lesbian. It's as simple as that. So enjoy your life and study about sexuality.